Not particularly.
All right, we'll jump on to this weekend's card, which is UFC Fight Night blank versus Dos Santos, because today Islam Makhachev pulled out of the card. He has an injury, undisclosed injury, so he won't be competing on this weekend's event, which leaves the event without one half of their main event. And on a pretty bare card, it's a major loss for this card to lose Islam on this. What do you think they do? Who do you think they give Dos Santos? Because he is looking for a replacement. Do you think he gets a replacement? And who do you think it is?
Yeah, well, first things first, it's so sad to see Makhachev fall out of this one because it just seemed like his time, with Khabib retiring. He said he's retired and he's reiterated that despite what Dana says and despite what people think, he said he's retired. So we've got to take him at his word. Khabib retiring, it just seemed like Makhachev's time, to come in and be the guy, be the next, representation for, Russia and Dagestan, and it's just a shame to see him fall out. So I think they will replace him because, as you've just said, it's a weak card as it is, and they need Dos Anjos in there. Dos Anjos is still a relevant name. He's still worthy of being at the top of cards. You just need the right opponent now. So I really don't know who to go with, because I feel like a lot of these lightweights have tough cuts. So who's going to be ready? Who's in shape? Drew Dober was supposed to fight. I think it was on this card. He was supposed to fight somewhere around here. Can he slip in? Is he still in shape? It really is just about who is in the gym, who's ready, and I'm sure there'll be people who want to answer the call. It's just if they're prepared to do so. So hopefully they get someone. I'm just not sure who it'll be.
Well, RDA asked for Michael Chandler, but I don't think that's ever happening. I think they're trying to keep Michael Chandler at the top of the division. Although I think that would be a great fight, especially for Michael Chandler to come into the UFC and fight a former champion like RDA. Just don't think it happens. I think more realistically, you're going to see, like you said, a Drew Dober, a Beneil Dariush. Who else is around that ranking? Maybe Felder can't take it on short notice, I don't think. Someone like that. What is there any names stick out to you?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Chandler step in there. I feel like he's fight ready. He's just although he didn't fight, he's coming off a camp basically, or he's coming off a cut where he was on that money, he was on that championship weight. So how far could he have strayed from that in 2 weeks? And he's been talking about wanting to fight, and I think RDA, although he's unranked, because he's been competing at welterweight, he's still, I think a win over him would propel Chandler into the up echelon of the division, maybe top 5 even. So I think there's a lot to gain, and Chandler seems a guy who's down for whatever with the UFC. He seems to be one of them guys who's definitely for the cause. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him step in. I think that'd be a huge fight as well. Besides that, as you said, Drew Dober does stick out to me. I feel like he may be close to his fighting weight. He may be ready to go. Ali Quinteris took fights on short notice. If he's knocking about Charles Oliveira, he's a 145er, or has competed at 145 for most of his career. So how much weight does he cut for lightweight? Interesting, but I feel like it's a huge opportunity for one of these guys who wouldn't usually get this type of showcase fight. This is the biggest fight of the weekend. It's a main event slot. Someone needs to grab it with both hands, because the UFC, a win here, I feel like it propels them top 5.
Yeah, you'd think top 5, or if not top 5, at least they're going to get more recognition in the division. You win in a main event against a former champion, good things are coming to you after that. And I don't know any other names out there other than the ones we've mentioned. Maybe Dan Hooker, but there's no way that happens. He's in New Zealand. They couldn't get him over there in time. So it'd have to be someone who's around in the States, or around that geographical location to get there and cut the weight. I feel like I would like to see Chandler take this fight. I just don't think it's realistic, but I think this is probably a winnable fight for both guys. And that's a fair fight, and especially coming in on a week's notice. And neither guy is prepared for a similar fighter to the other, so it would just be an interesting fight, and we'd definitely see where Chandler is in terms of skill and how he's going to do in the UFC. He's a former Bellator champion. He's going to go off and fight a former UFC champion. We'll just really get to see the metrics between the two organizations there. But yeah, any last thoughts about this fight?
Well, I'm just looking at the rankings now, and it's very unlikely, but I just want to mention it because Tony Ferguson is a madman, so you never know. He's always in training. He's always, seems happy to be cutting weight even when he doesn't need to. So I'm sure he'd cut weight for this one. I do think like we're gonna get an announcement. I feel like it's gonna be uh, in the next day or so. It's got to be soon, and I hope it's a really good fight. But I do feel we're gonna get a replacement. I'm really excited to see who it is.
Mhm.
Ferguson Chandler would be optimistic shout from yourself. People like Oliveira, I like Quinta, and maybe Drew Dober are more likely. And I hope one of them goes and grabs it because it's a massive chance.
Yeah, I mean, Ferguson's already fought RDA and he battered him over 5 rounds, so I don't know if he'd be willing to take it again. There's not really any upside for him taking this fight. But all the other names you said, great fights. Hopefully get one of them. Or what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Maybe, because they definitely need something in this card. We can both agree on that. There's no, like the card needs a main event. Maybe RDA gets the boot. Maybe they can't find him a fight, and they actually I've got two thoughts I've gone on here. Firstly, they can't get RDA an opponent, so they do 2 other fighters in any division that are ready to go, that are high ranked fighters. I don't know who is kicking about. Let me think. Maybe you could even do the Charles Oliveira versus who they wanted to fight, Tony Ferguson, or like any of those people. Like, what do you think about replacing the entire main event? Do you think that's a possibility?
No, I think RDA sticks with it, but they might ask him to, fight at a catch weight or fight someone at
Mm.
170. Um, it's all depends, They might get a 145 to step up. What's Max Holloway up to? Where's he at? Does he want to move up to 155? It's an opportunity, and I feel like someone's gonna grab it, but it could be, RDA might have to go to 170, a 145 might jump up. Anything can happen at this point, but I feel like the UFC will be determined to fill that slot because I don't know. Is anyone going to tune in if Al Hassan against Chaos Williams is the main event of the evening? They're really not, and I feel like this card was reliant on this fight. It was a weak card, and it was all about this fight. It was all about this fight, and it's fell off now. So Dos Anjos, he brings something to the table. He's still got a name. He's still a relevant fighter. Just need to match him against someone who's worthy of it, and we're back on track. And I think they'll manage to do that. UFC have pulled off much bigger things in just the last few months alone, so I'm sure they'll sort this one out.
Yeah, watch them do Khamzat Chimaev versus RDA at 170, and that's probably my best guess. Like, if UFC wants to build Khamzat, like, give him this fight, but maybe not realistic. Aside from that, it's not really much on this card. Is there any other fights on here you want to grab, or?
Well, we mentioned it then. It was Al Hassan against Chaos Williams, which, although I don't think it's worthy of main event, I think it's worthy of mentioning. I think it's a really good, fun fight. I think Al Hassan, he had a layoff, and then he got outpointed by that Laziz guy who looked sensational back on Fight Island a few months ago. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. He shook off the ring rust. Some people don't believe in it, some people do. I tend to do, and I think he looked a bit rusty against a really good guy as well. And Cass Williams, I feel like these two can make for a really fun fight. Besides that, there's one I don't know where it's placed on the card, but Kay Hansen against Corey McKenna, who's making a UFC debut, is a really fun fight for me. I think they're both early 20s, really young girls. Kay Hansen has one fight in UFC. Corey McKenna's making a UFC debut. She looked brilliant on the regional scene where I'm from in the UK. So it's 2 really good prospects meeting each other very, very early on in the career. So I'm just interested to see how them 2 do. And then besides that, you've got Todd Duffy against Philip Lynn. So that's worth looking out for. A heavyweight, brawl it should be. But as you said, it's not the strongest card, and we need a main event.
Yeah, I think aside from that, I'm looking at the card now. Reece McKee's on it. He obviously had that loss to Khamzat because he's a lightweight, and he's a lightweight, but he's fighting at welterweight again. This just confuses me.
That's a strange one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's fighting someone who's fought at middleweight as well, in Alex I don't know what's going on with Reece McKee. We need to try and get an interview with him because he's not a big guy for welterweight. He's nowhere near a big guy for welterweight. And I thought we'd be seeing him at lightweight, but is he just doing the UFC a favour again and just taking a fight on short notice? I don't know. We'll try and get a chat with him and see what his plan is for the future, because fighting welterweight in the UFC doesn't seem the way to go. But maybe he's got other ideas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But like I said, pretty bare card. So we'll see what we get in terms of main event. But otherwise, Yeah, going to be a great weekend of fights. We'll jump on to some news, and I